This podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, hosted by the BatmanUniverse.net. Check out everything related to Batman and the entire Bat family at the BatmanUniverse.net, including news and original content related to comics, movies, television, merchandise, video games, and more. Also, check out some of the other unique podcasts that TBU has to offer. Consider supporting this podcast by becoming a patron on Patreon. Even $1 can go a long way in supporting this content that you enjoy. Look for a link over at the BatmanUniverse.net to offer your support now. And now, on with the show.
Scarecrows frightened of the clouds, laughing boys. I am a Batman. I am a Batman. Shine and signal, come out to play. I am a Batman. I am a Batman. Bring it on, Batman. Jump out your cave, 'cause I am a Batman. I am a Batman. Shine that signal, come out and play. I am a Batman. I am a Batman.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 255 of It's All Tim's Fault. I am Tim, the one who's always at fault, and joining me, as always, is Dane. Dane, how's it going?
It's going good. I still don't know how you remember all of the what is it called, episode numbers. I mean, like after a while, it's just whatever number, right?
It's quite simple, really. I mean, I'll give everyone a peek behind the curtain here of our very sophisticated way of preparing for an episode. I have, whenever I make the cover art, I just have a folder of all the cover art, and I title them with the episode numbers. So before we start recording, I just open it up and see, okay, what was the last one we did? What was the episode art labeled? So the last one was labeled 254. So one would assume, Dane, that this would be episode 255.
So you cheat. You're a cheater, Tim.
No, sorry to disappoint. I don't have this massive memory where I just automatically know what episode number we're on. Sorry to disappoint.
Dang it. Well, anyway, what's been going on with you?
It's crunch time for me for video games. I mean, I've said it before how Jedi Survivor kicks off what's going to be an onslaught of awesome games for me to play in the next few months, and it happened. I had two weeks to beat Jedi Survivor. I'm down to less than a week now. I haven't beaten it, but we'll get into Jedi Survivor. But I've just been trying to play that, and then at the same time do a full-blown Guardians of the Galaxy rewatch for the movie, for Volume 3. And you would think, oh, it's just two movies. But no, there's also the Avengers, Infinity War and Endgame that I had to throw in there, which I actually watched during the week, which I don't usually do. I always save my movie watching for the weekend, but because I had to get those in, I watched those, which took away time from Jedi Survivor. So, but I think I should still have Jedi Survivor beaten before Tears of the Kingdom comes out this Friday, or as you're listening to this. If you're listening to this on the day of release, it'll be tomorrow. So I should have it beat by then. But that's what I've been up to the last 2 weeks. Just trying my best to beat Jedi Survivor and do a full-blown Guardians of the Galaxy rewatch.
Which one is taking precedent, Tim? I'm assuming it's Jedi Survivor.
The first few days it was Jedi Survivor, but then when I realized, oh, Volume 3 is really close to release, so I gotta watch the movie. So for 2 days, or because last weekend I was able to play some Jedi Survivor and watch two Guardians of the Galaxy movies, but then during this past week, I had to sacrifice 2 days of not playing Jedi Survivor to watch Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame. So it did take away a little bit of time, but I think it'll all work out in the end, though.
Why did you have to watch the Avengers movies?
Because I'm like,
I mean,
really...
like what's the? Oh, you mean with what's her name? Ooh, don't tell me, Tim. Please.
Oh, here we go. Some more great name remembering of game from the MCU.
Is her name Hera? No, it's not Hera.
You're getting your green alien species mixed up.
Okay. Like, whew.
It begins with a G.
Gamora.
There you go.
There you go. and
Got it on
and
the second try.
her sister's name is Vanessa.
No, not quite.
What's your sister's name? Her blue
Nebula.
sister? Nebula.
Yes.
Right. Dang
Which
it.
is a really cool name.
Yeah. So you have to watch Avengers because of that, because she dies in that.
Obviously, yeah, it's a huge moment for the Guardians, and they have a pretty big, substantial amount of screen time in that movie. So it was kind of like watching kind of a mini Guardians of the Galaxy movie in there as well too. So it had to be watched because obviously Volume 3 is going to pick up from where things left off there. The only thing I wasn't able to squeeze. I was gonna say the only thing I wasn't able to squeeze in, Dane, was the beginnings from your favorite MCU movie, Thor: Love and Thunder, where the Guardians are in the beginning.
How dare you, Tim? That's the most important story aspect of the MCU. How could you forget that? What was I gonna say? What was I gonna say, Tim? I totally forget.
Sorry, I really
anyway, yeah, it doesn't matter. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. So like, we'll get into it, but like, Volume 3 picks up right at the end of the Avengers movie.
Well, no, see, there was Thor: Love and Thunder. Then there was the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special that came out at the end of last year, which kind of is where Volume 3 picks up. Is the last thing before Volume 3.
Okay. Did you watch that too, Tim?
I did squeeze that in.
Managed to squeeze in the holiday special.
Well, I should say
managed to beat Jedi Survivor yet.
That was something I did like after I watched Endgame. I watched Endgame Wednesday night because I was seeing Guardians Thursday. Then before I went to sleep, like there's some moments I should probably watch from the holiday special where before I went to sleep on my phone, I watched like about pretty much the beginning of the end, which mainly dealt with the Guardians as setting up certain things. So.
I see. So it's like the holiday special is pretty much just a big joke, and then like the last 2.5 minutes is like
the middle of it.
Now we're setting it. Oh, okay. The middle of
it's like the big joke aspect, or like where the most fun happens. But, so
hey, you know what I managed to watch, Tim?
What's that?
I totally forget the name of it, but the werewolf special that they had.
Why am I blanking on it too?
Werewolf
by Night. That's what I think.
Yeah. That thing was really good.
It was really good, yeah.
Surprisingly, because it's a character I don't really care about. I don't know a bunch of characters I don't really know at all.
Same, yeah.
And yeah, it was really good. Like that one shot, single take fight scene at the end, towards the end. It was really cool, and I like the twist. All like he's trying to save that big monster.
Yeah, Man Thing.
Trying to kill.
He was the only character I knew from the comics was Man Thing. He looked great.
That was really good, surprisingly. I mean, I'm sure he's going to be meeting Captain America next or whatever.
You know who directed it too?
Yeah, Michael Giacchino.
Yeah, which is broadening his
really
horizons from just a music composer to director. Yeah, he did a good job.
I know. How did that happen? Like, did a director drop out and Giacchino was like, like he was actually signed to direct that?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was like something he pitched or Marvel went to him, but it was like something where he wasn't just like a replacement or anything like that. He was the choice to do it. So.
Wow, what a renaissance man!
Right.
He can direct. I mean, he can
imagine making your own movie, directing it, and then scoring it too. It's like it's all you.
Yeah. And I like the black and white too. What a switch for the Marvel universe. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a
With
cool aesthetic for it. It fit
the
really
highlighted
well.
color. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Awesome.
That's
Another MCU project you checked out that you enjoyed. I'm proud
yeah,
of
that I
you.
really enjoyed. I actually really enjoyed that. Like I was like, oh, I got some time to kill. I'll watch this thing that is the precursor to the werewolf meeting Captain America and the Avengers, part of the Avengers somehow. Um, but yeah, really enjoyed it. I can't believe Michael Giacchino directed it, and yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. So Werewolf by Night and Thor Love and Thunder, Dane's two favorite MCU
Yeah.
projects. Your list is growing.
People go for the Avengers movies, the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. But me, I like the weird stuff, I guess.
Whatever fits your boat.
Yeah.
But something that's not weird is the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring. Well, I guess maybe to some people it might be, but
Yeah.
it's not weird to us. And so we're going to continue on with our minute by minute commentary as we'll be going from minute 42 to 43. So as always, go ahead and grab your VHS copy, your Betamax copy, your Laserdisc copy, your DVD copy, your HD DVD copy, your UMD, or all 12 of your UMD copies of The Fellowship of the Ring. Grab your Blockbuster membership video or card to go rent it. Get your Netflix physical media red envelope out of your mailbox and pull all 2 discs to watch it that way. Then grab your projector, watch it the old-fashioned way, or you could watch your VHS converted to, or see, I screwed that up. I forgot to say your DVHS. But then there's also, the one we always watch, your VHS converted to DVD copy made from your PC or Mac. So any one of those, go ahead and get that synced up to the 42-minute mark, and we'll begin the countdown. Dane, are you ready?
Before we get to that, Tim, you would know how many discs was the let's say the Fellowship of the Ring on DVD?
There's only 2 discs.
Oh, I thought it was like 3.
No, which still I scratched my
Yeah.
head. While first the Blu-ray when that came out, wow, that was still 2 discs, and then the 4K, how those it's still 2 discs. It's like there's got to be enough memory on those discs to fit the whole movie on one disc and not lose quality. But it's not.
Because you remember those? Do you remember those? This was back in the DVD days. You remember those? It looked like box sets, like the flaps folded over,
Yeah. Yep.
and like so that was the 2 discs and the
And all the
special
special
features.
features. Yeah.
I
So
see.
it was just a 4-disc set, like 2 discs for the movie and 2 discs for the special features.
Okay.
One of these days I would love to have a physical media version of the extended cuts of the Lord of the Rings trilogy on one single disc. Not too much to ask.
Yeah, you would think that Blu-ray would, be enough memory to contain the whole movie, but guess not.
Nope. So I still gotta get up and switch the disc whenever I watch them.
Just
It's
get the digital version, Tim. Yeah, just
Um,
get the digital version.
well, I have the digital versions, but I only use it when
Yeah.
I'm, for instance, doing this commentary. So not when I do a full watch of it. It has to be the physical edition.
I see.
Yeah, I'm a quality snob.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, all right. Yes, I am ready, Tim.
And I will give the countdown. 3, 2, 1, play. Safely puts the ring in his pocket.
Yeah,
And
things have never fallen out of pockets in the history of pockets, right?
I mean, it doesn't get more secure than that on a long journey that they're going to take. It doesn't have to worry about it falling off.
Yeah, they're not going to be falling and tumbling and
Not going to be
running.
climbing any mountains, journeying into any caves, nothing like that. Crossing rivers.
So Sam almost dies right here, right? He almost dies, right?
by getting hit on the head by Gandalf's staff?
No, because Gandalf thought it was like an orc or something, or a troll. Or,
Could have been, yeah.
yeah.
Imagine if he did just bonk him on the head. He just like used some magic on him and killed him right there.
I guess
I
it's
wonder
going to
what-
be a solo journey.
Would Gandalf have turned him into a toad? We'll never know. Well, I think we're finally reached the end of that whole sequence with Gandalf and Frodo in his house there.
Yeah, because we've only been in the Shire for like
Yeah.
40 whatever episodes. We've
Yeah.
only been in the Shire.
Minus the prologue, but yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah. We mentioned I mentioned this when we did the commentary for the prologue part, but like so how many rings were created in total? Do you know, Tim?
Let's see. It was 3 for the elves, 9 for men,
Okay.
and
12.
Let's see, was it 7 or 8 for the dwarves? I want to say
Okay.
7 for the dwarves.
Okay, so let's just say 20 total, right? So the men, what happened to their rings?
They just Sauron just used them to enslave them and turn them into a Nazgul. So I guess technically they still have their rings, but they're all made to use for serve Sauron.
Right, so they got turned into the Nazgul, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So who made the determination that, like, okay, so you guys are going to be the horse rider guys, and then you guys are going to be the pterodactyl guys?
Well, they're all the same Nazgul. It's all 9 of them. Before they were all on the horses, but then when the horses got killed in the river, they went back to the flying beasts, the foul beasts.
Oh, they had to get their new car.
Yeah.
They had to get their flying car out.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I see. All right.
Yeah, it's
You
always
answered
just
my
9
question.
Nazgul. Yeah.
Okay.
Glad I was able to answer that question fairly quickly. But yeah, so that could take us into our feature topic for this episode, which mainly is going to be 2. We're going to be giving my review for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and then I guess Dane's review / my impressions of Jedi Survivor, because I haven't beaten it yet, but Dane has. So Dane's gonna have to be careful not to spoil what happens. So I guess I'll start with the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 review for our feature topic. So obviously I made it no secret how much I love the franchise of the Guardians of the Galaxy. It was such a breath of fresh air when the first one came out in 2014. Absolutely loved it. Loved Volume 2.
Fooled me, Tim.
I know, it's a shocker here, Dane.
It's not like you did a total rewatch of every single appearance. So
Right.
Guardians of the Galaxy, and you completed the video game as well. You did a replay of the video game, didn't you?
I wish I could, because the last game won by Square Enix was so good. It was so much. Before I had reservations going into it because I did not like the character designs, especially for Peter Quill. But regardless of that, I mean, you could customize it to wear different outfits. I gave him his comic accurate outfit with his mask and everything, so it was fine. But the story and the gameplay, it was really great. And also too, I can't remember if you played this, Dane, but the Telltale game of Guardians of the Galaxy from a few years ago.
No, I haven't played it.
That was really good. That was one of my favorite Telltale games that they did.
Oh wow!
One of the hardest ending decisions you have to make out of all the Telltale games.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, do I save Rocket or do I save Groot?
It's kind of not necessarily that, but decisions regarding the characters that you have to make. Yes.
Okay.
Which I don't think it's available anymore on the store. I'm not sure. I haven't really looked, but if you're able to find it,
a lot of the Telltale games aren't available. I think I think it's on the PlayStation, whatever it's called now. That you subscribe and then you have the free access to it. Yeah,
Okay,
I think a lot of the Telltale games are on there.
gotcha. Well, if it is, I highly recommend those checking it out. If you like Telltale games and Guardians of the Galaxy, it's really good. A really great story in there. So yeah, I love the franchise, and Volume 3 has been my most anticipated movie of the year. The trailers for it looked fantastic, and even before we got the trailers and knowing, kind of hearing some whispers of what it might entail, I was thinking it was going to do what I was hoping the third one would go into. So I had high expectations going into it. So saw it on Thursday on opening night. One of the few movies, the first movie I did since the Batman, actually, to see on a Thursday night. I don't usually do that too often, but for the movies, I just really looking forward to and cannot wait to see. I still will make those Thursday night screenings happen. So saw this one on Thursday night, and I'll gonna go probably dive into spoilers here. I know Dane gave me the okay. He doesn't mind being spoiled on it, but if you're listening to this, I know it's probably about a week since the movie came out. So if you don't mind the spoilers, or if you've seen it already, I'll be diving into most of that stuff. So, so just
Hey, Tim,
overall, yeah,
can I just make a bold prediction?
okay.
So Rocket dies, right?
Man, that was one of my biggest worries going into it. Man, they were really hyping that up in the like trailers and the marketing, almost to a point where it's like, are they just doing it as a misdirect? It's like,
Yeah.
but I guess I'll go ahead and just reveal that right now. No, he does not die, which
Okay.
makes me so happy. But at the same time, it's like if that's the direction James Gunn wanted to go with it, and how he did it well and felt like a right conclusion to the character story. I mean, it would have been sad, but if it was done well, I would have been okay with it. But he did not die, and he survived. He's actually now the new leader of the Guardians. That's how it ended.
Oh, wow.
Where Star-Lord officially makes him the captain.
Yeah, I totally forgot. We're dealing with Marvel here, right? Or Disney, and so like they're not going to kill off like an asset. So they're not really gonna, do that. So they can reuse it and reuse it and reuse it over and over again, right?
Hey, when it comes to Rocket, I hope so. I'll never get sick of the character. He's become one of my favorite Marvel characters. So if they want to keep using him, fine by me. But I was another. Again, I gave a spoiler warning, so you know what I'm going to talk about in this one. But the surprise is that actually none of the main characters died. I was expecting maybe one, with Rocket being at the forefront as the biggest possibility, but they all survived and had their stories conclude, but yet still remain open to where we can see them again. And I know we're definitely going to see them again. But if we get another Guardians of the Galaxy movie, it's going to be a very different version of the team. So as James Gunn said, he's been saying in the lead up to this, that this is the end for this iteration. But if Marvel wants to do more, they obviously can. And it definitely ended to where that will be the case, how things were left and also potentially set up. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. Might see how I'm going to be seeing it again later today. So it's one of those movies where it just feels really different from the first two. It's a lot more serious in tone than the previous Guardian movies are. A lot of great emotional beats in there. The other ones had some great emotional moments too. So I don't want to say like, oh, this one did that where the other two didn't. But the ones here kind of really hit hard, especially with Rocket. And that's what makes this movie, because it's all telling about Rocket's origin story and how he came to be. And that's what I was most excited going into this movie about, and hearing the whispers that could potentially be diving into that aspect had me very excited, and it did not disappoint. That stuff just really adds to the character of Rocket, and just the journey that he's been on through all three of these movies, and seeing how he's grown as a character and to come to be a part of this family that he never thought he had, and just kind of seeing where all that came from. It's just such a tragic story that was revealed for being his origin for the movie. And going back to the Telltale games, this is why I was so excited about it, because that was playing the Telltale games when they dealt with Rocket's story. That was kind of my first exposure to some of the characters and elements of Rocket's origin. I was like, oh man, this is like really good stuff. Where I would love to see this done in the movie. And while the basic core of the premise of it's there, it is done differently in Volume 3 than it is in the Telltale game. But it just made, when I played that moment in the Telltale series, there was a character specifically called Lila, who is another animal who was experimented on, an otter. It had kind of played up to be like Rocket's love interest or potential, and they were trying to plan an escape. It doesn't work out in the Telltale game, but was when I played, it's like, man, this is like a really great emotional beat for Rocket as a character to have, and I really hope to explore that in the movie, in a potential future movie for Guardians. And they did that in this one, and that character of Lila was here in Volume 3, along with two other animal characters that were been experimented on, which became Rocket's first friend, and they were done great, man. That stuff in the flashback sequences was, man, it really pulled at the heartstrings, especially if you're an animal lover. Seeing how happy they were to be together as these animals being tortured and experimented on as friends, but seeing what they went through, it really sucked to see. And then this Rocket's reaction to it, because it doesn't have a happy outcome for Lila and Rocket's other two friends there, which paves the way for Rocket to make his escape eventually. It doesn't show us, like, I was hoping we kind of see him meet up with Groot, but we don't get that. We just see him escaping the laboratory that is experimented on. But hey, you mentioned, Dane, about them using Rocket for a bunch of other stuff. I would love, like, if we got like a Disney Plus series or something showing the continuation of this point in Rocket's life after he escapes that laboratory and meeting up with Groot and all that. I would love to see that. But that's just really where the heart of the movie is at, in those flashback sequences was Rocket and showing his origin story. And that's what I was most excited about, and it really delivered on that front. But yeah, so the movie, it starts off great with, I love how James Gunn always begins his Guardians movie with a title sequence where you see the credits, the title, big title pop onto the screen, was focusing on a specific piece of music as the credits are rolling. It's in the first one, it was Peter Quill dancing in the temple on Morag as we see the credits to the song "Come Get Your Love." In Volume 2, it was the big battle. It was Baby Groot dancing to Mr. Blue Sky. And then this one, I was wondering what it was going to be. Is it going to be like another big action sequence? But it was just very simple, but to me, just like almost very powerful too, where it just focuses, because it begins with a flashback of Rocket as just a baby raccoon being taken from a cage to be experimented on, and then it transitions into current Rocket, and he's putting on some headphones, and the song he decides to play is the acoustic version of "Creep" by Radiohead, and we just see Rocket walk around nowhere, which is now the Guardians HQ. So we just see him walking around, Creep's playing, he's singing along to it, which is great. You could just tell like it was a song that really meant something for him. I just see him like turn the volume up, singing along, and just kind of walking around. And you see the different members of the Guardians. So I just loved how perfectly the music, it set the tone for what this movie is going to be. Like I said, more of a serious, more of a character introspect for Rocket. And I think playing the song "Creep" by Radiohead, like Rocket is listening to it and singing along to it, just really set the tone for what this movie was going to be. And I just loved how it started with that. And I think already is my favorite opening sequence of the Guardian movies when you put it with the songs that are used. I just thought it really did a great job and fit the character of Rocket perfectly, and again set the tone up for what the movie was going to be about. But the movie, I tried to stay spoiler free on it as much as I could. Only watched the trailers, so I wasn't sure what the actual driving force in the plot was going to be, and I was kind of surprised on what it was, to where obviously I knew Rocket was going to be a big focus of it. But it's kind of weird where he is a big focus of it, but at the same time, he is not in it as much as you think, because the Guardians on Nowhere get attacked by Adam Warlock, who was teased in the end credit scene of Volume 2 and has been a past member of the Guardians of the Galaxy in the comics. So he's a big character, especially in the Marvel Universe. The character Warlock, I know a lot of people are probably going to be disappointed with him. He was underused and just mainly used as like a lackey and a henchman, a very powerful one, albeit, but nothing more to him than that, especially when he was kind of a main member of past Guardians teams. So I imagine that might be a disappointment for some, which I understand. But he goes and attacks the Guardians on Nowhere, and he's specifically after Rocket. And during the battle, Rocket gets critically injured, where he just gets blasted in the chest. And Rocket is pretty much incapacitated for a good portion of this movie. So our time with Rocket is in those flashback sequences where we see his story unfolds. And it's not one big long flashback. It's separated and sprinkled out throughout the course of the first 2 acts of the movie, as the Guardians are trying to revive Rocket. So that's where the main plot comes from, is basically the Guardians and Peter Quill especially just dead set on making sure Rocket does not die and try to save him, because they have these med packs that usually work well in reviving someone with a wound like that. But Rocket, since he was experimented on, he has this explosive device planted in him that if anyone tampers with a Rocket's body, it's going to be set off and explode and just kill Rocket. So that med pack was just wasn't doing its job. It was setting off that kill switch. So the Guardians need to find a device to set off that, or get rid of, or turn off that kill switch, so they can operate and save Rocket with that med pack. So that's where it leads them to finding out to where his origins come from. And that's where it leads us to the villain, the High Evolutionary, where we get the real, he was the one who created Rocket. He's someone who's trying to create pretty much like the perfect society and just make life the perfect way of living. So he's experimented with just animals, trying to make them intelligent. And he moves on to creating like actual people. The Sovereign from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, who Adam Warlock is a part of, it's revealed that the Sovereign, or they were created by the High Evolutionary. So he's tinkering and trying to play God amongst a bunch of different living beings and just trying to create that perfect life form, that perfect living society. And it starts with Rocket. And Rocket is the first one to show like real intelligence, as his only experiment to do so. And so he wants to get Rocket back and just pretty much use his mind. So that's why he sent Adam Warlock to bring Rocket back. So the course of the movie is the Guardians trying to move closer to the High Evolutionary so they can get what they need to save Rocket's life, while at the same time trying to keep Rocket away from the hands of the High Evolutionary. And amongst that, of course, I said it's more of a serious tone, and it is, but over the course of what the Guardians go through, there's still that fun stuff you get, especially with Drax and Mantis. Peter and Gamora, that's another big thrust of the movie, is Peter dealing with this different Gamora that obviously the one that he fell in love with died, and he sees her right there, but yet it's not the same one. And she doesn't feel the same way about him, obviously, since they didn't have the same experiences together because of all that time not spent after the events of Endgame. So it's him trying to deal with that and just kind of move on. But that's another aspect of the movie where it's like, it's no fault of James Gunn and what he had to do, because I'm a little torn on this, because Gamora, it would have been great because of all the emotion with the Guardians trying to deal with trying to save Rocket, their friend's life, and this version of Gamora and having no connection to Rocket was kind of like a little disappointing, because I would have loved to see, how the real Gamora would have dealt with seeing Rocket like this and what she would have done to do all she can to save him. But at the same time, I don't want to fault Avengers Infinity War for doing that, because that made for such a powerful moment in that movie where we actually saw some actual humanity in Thanos, to where it was hard for him to sacrifice his daughter that he actually loved, like the one being that he actually cared for. He sacrificed her to gain the Soul Stone. So it made for a powerful moment in Infinity War, but at the same time took away a little bit from future Guardians movies. And I was always curious to see how they were going to handle that. And I think it was handled as well as you could. I just think it just would have been nice to have the original Gamora here for all the stuff the Guardians were dealing with in regards to learning about Rocket's past and doing what they can to save him. So yeah, so all that stuff, like I said, it wasn't necessarily handled bad or wrong or anyway. It's just something I couldn't help but think about as far as what could have been if they didn't decide to go that route in Avengers Infinity War, which again, it was great for that movie. So I'm a little torn on, what to choose, which I would rather have. But so other than that, though, just the movie itself, it really just, its strength is on these characters and the relationship that they've built over the course of these two movies, and especially between Rocket and all the other characters. Peter Quill, one of my favorite moments, probably my favorite moment of the movie, is where, again, I said Rocket doesn't die, but they tried to he came pretty darn close. And I guess technically he actually did for a little bit, because they had this moment where they were able to get the device they needed to turn off that kill switch and to put those med packs to save Rocket, but it's looking like they were too late. He just looks like he's convulsing. He's just going into shock, and it's just like they're not going to save him. And you have kind of that moment where a lot of these stories do, where a character is about to die, that they're in the white light in their mind, and the character Lila, who was killed in the flashbacks that we saw, and she's coming to have Rocket join her and his other friends that he lost, just saying, kind of inviting him. Or Rocket actually asks, he goes, can I come with you guys? And she's all like, yes, you can, but not now. And that's where Rocket gets pulled back as Peter is trying to bring it back with CPR and all that. But just the emotion and the reaction that Peter Quill had when Rocket actually dies for a bit, Chris Pratt did a great job at just really showing that emotion off. And then just seeing them, Groot, Peter, and Rocket comes like just an embrace when Rocket does come back, and just seeing how far these characters have come when you meet them in the first one again is just a great display of just character growth and character arcs that we've seen over the course of several movies. It's just all made for great moments like that. And this is one of those instances where, because Gamora was there too, but yet she had no connection to Rocket, so she couldn't really join in that celebration and just that relief of that joy of having Rocket be brought back to life. So that's one of those instances where I thought, if only that was the original Gamora. But just great stuff, and that's what makes this movie so good, is just the character dynamics and the emotional bits that you get with them. So they eventually, obviously, they gotta defeat the villain of the story, the High Evolutionary. It's because they got Drax, Nebula, and Mantis. They are on the High Evolutionary ship, while Peter, Groot, and Gamora are on their own ship, as they were trying to revive Rocket. So they have to try to get kind of meet up with each other. That made for a really cool action sequences in probably out of all the Guardians movies, where they're just like this one continuous shot of just each Guardian having a moment to shine and just doing some really cool stuff, set to the Beastie Boys' No Sleep Till Brooklyn, which made for a fitting piece of music for an action sequence like that. It was just one of the cool action sequences you're going to see in a Marvel movie. I just love that. But then we get the moment, kind of a great moment with Rocket too, where because another big reveal is that the High Evolutionary created what he thinks is now finally his perfect species, and he's going to take him off to this new planet or a new colony to have him thrive there. That's the other thing. He created a hybrid species of like animal humans after the success he had with Rocket and other animals, and he pretty much created, or it's actually called Counter Earth, where it's Earth, but they kind of serve him as like the ruler and god of it, but it's all like animal species. There's like, they go into a suburban area. You've seen it in the trailers, but it's all these people with one looks like a goat and bats. So he created that, but he still felt it wasn't perfect, because you see as the Guardians are going through this planet, that still has the same problems Earth has. Different species fighting with one another, drug deals going on. So it's not the perfect society that the High Evolutionary wanted. So what does he do? He's going to start again to destroy this planet and start over with this new species that is created. And it's pretty much a bunch of kids. So he has a bunch of kids captured on a ship, ready to use them to colonize or to go to a colony and start a new society. But then he actually says he's going to destroy that planet with all those hybrid animals on there. I was like, okay, typical villain plot. He's going to destroy it. Guardians are going to stop him, save the day. But nope, he actually does it. He destroys that whole Counter Earth, and the Guardians are not able to stop him. And so like pretty much a whole planet got destroyed with tons of living beings on there. So between like the animal torture and the destruction of a whole civilization, I'm surprised the movie went kind of in the direction it did. So it went to some dark moments there. But again, it was necessary for the story they were trying to tell. But it was just surprising that, oh man, they actually did that. So the Guardians, they meet up to rescue not only their team members, but as they find they had High Evolutionaries, all the kids there, they have to save them. So they're trying to bring them back to nowhere. So it was a cool visual where the High Evolutionary's big ship and nowhere, if you remember from the first movie, is just a severed head of a celestial being. So it's a gigantic head, which is the base of operations for the Guardians. So those two objects are meeting face to face, so they can transfer all the kids off the High Evolutionary ship to nowhere, while at the same time the Guardians are going to save or get each other out too. But once they think they have everyone out, Rocket goes off on his own, and he goes to the same place to where he was pretty much born and taken from and experimented on. So he sees all these animals being captured and experimented on, and he sees a cage of baby raccoons where he came from. And it was a great moment because over the course of all the Guardians movies, the Avengers, every time the Guardians appeared in an MCU project, someone would call Rocket a raccoon and he'd get upset. He didn't know what a raccoon was. He said it's not him. He's his own thing. So it's like you get offended when anyone called him a raccoon. But as he looked at all those baby raccoons and he sees the label on there of what they were, he actually was from Earth. He was a raccoon taken from Earth, and he sees it on there, like experiment species raccoon, and he accepts it. Okay, that's what he is, and he just grabs all like the baby raccoons that are all on him. It just made for a very it's like a very sweet visual moment of Rocket trying to save all these little raccoons and all these animals, and he tells, but then he gets confronted by the High Evolutionary who just had it with Rocket, because Rocket actually, before he escaped, he attacked the High Evolutionary after his friends were killed in the flashback and just messed up his face. So while the High Evolutionary wants his mind, he just also wants to torture Rocket even more for all he did to him. So him and Rocket had a little showdown. I wish it was a little longer, but there was a great moment where Rocket finally accepts that he is a raccoon, because the High Evolutionary gives his like typical villain monologue, like, who are you? What makes you think you could do this? And he goes, my name is Rocket Raccoon. The first time saying that, because we all know that was his kind of official name in the Guardians of the Galaxy comics. It just thought the Marvel character was always Rocket Raccoon, as he was always referred to. For him to finally accept that and hear his say it out of his own mouth was a nice moment. And so they defeat the High Evolutionary. The rest of the Guardians come and help Rocket. I kind of this is one of like a nitpicky thing, where since the High Evolutionary is such a personal moment for Rocket, I kind of wish it was just Rocket on his own who defeated him, but all the Guardians got their moment to take him down, and Gamora actually gets like the final blow as she stabs him with her blade, and he's not dead because they actually tell Rocket, finish him off, go ahead, kill him after all he did to you. But Rocket goes like, no, I'm not going to do it because I'm a good freaking Guardians of the Galaxy. He's just taking the high road there. But he tells the Guardians that, there's a bunch of other animals they have to get off this ship, because obviously Rocket feels his responsibility to save them as well. So there's a moment where they're getting it's pretty much like almost like a Noah's Ark moment, where instead of getting all the animals on the Ark, they're getting them off it because it's going to explode. And there was a moment where they all get off, and another great addition to the characters was Cosmo the dog, who had a cameo in the first one, but it was always another character who was always a member from the past Guardians teams, who was a Russian space dog sent out into space who gained psychic powers. So she was using her psychic powers to hold the ship from exploding to get everyone off. Then there was another like fake out death moment where it looks like Peter Quill has to go back to get his Zune music player, which caused them a delay to escape the ship, not in time. But so it looks like he doesn't make it. He's floating in space. He's freezing up. His face is imploding. What it looks like he's gonna die. I was like, I didn't buy it though, because like if Peter Quill's gonna go out like that, they're gonna go out in this movie. I don't think it's gonna be like that, because not him saying a word to the Guardians or having a final goodbye. I don't think they're just gonna have it where he just dies without any words or without saying anything. So I didn't necessarily buy that he was gonna die, and he didn't. He was saved by Adam Warlock at the last second. And then he tells Rocket, he saved the Zune for him, because later on, all the Guardians have a meeting and saying, kind of the disbandment meeting where they're all going to go their separate ways, where Peter Quill says he's going to go back home on Earth and finally go back and see his grandfather. And Drax, Nebula are going to stay on Nowhere to help pretty much become foster parents for all these kids that they saved from the High Evolutionary there. There was a great moment too between where a big point of the movie is Nebula kind of saying that Drax doesn't really contribute anything besides muscle, but his biggest strength is, as we know from the first movie, he was the father, and his biggest strength is kind of being like the father figure to these kids and kind of being a parent and raising, be responsible for raising these kids in the future. And so that's why he stays on Nowhere. Nebula's going to help him. And then Mantis, she's going to go off on her own, feeling that she needs to experience the galaxy without kind of being told what to do, from being the servant of Ego from Volume 2 and then being a member of the Guardians, following orders there. She just wants to move out and expand on her own, so she goes her own way. And then Peter says, no, but there's still got to be Guardians of the Galaxy. So he officially leaves the team under Rocket's care and makes him a captain. And Groot, actually, after all that, Groot finally says some words other than "I am Groot," where he just says, "I love you guys," which got the audience teary-eyed. Even for where I was sitting, I could hear like the sniffling of the nose and like the ahs and all that from people around me. So that was a great moment, and that's where it just ends, where everyone goes on their separate ways, but yet there's still a Guardians team for the future. And we do get a glimpse of that future team because the mid-credit scene is Rocket on this planet with the new members of the Guardian, which is him, Groot, Adam Warlock's now there. One of the kids who they rescue is part of the team, Kraglin, Cosmo, the dog. So they're all there protecting the planet, checking each other's music tastes while they're at it too. So that was a fun moment. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great, satisfying ending to the journey that these characters have taken. The one thing that I feel that's holding it back from me as far as being my absolute favorite, because right now I think Volume 2 is my favorite, which I know I'm in the minority on, but this one I think potentially can maybe move up in the ranks too, because the themes and the character dynamics are so strong in this movie. But I just felt I just wanted more, I guess, it's kind of hard to explain, where not necessarily a resolution, but when Rocket came back, it was such a great moment between Quill and Groot for them to share, but just like them just more being spoken of how much they have come together as a family like they haven't had before, just appreciating each other. I mean, it's all there, but at the end when they're all kind of deciding to go their separate ways, I just felt that it was a little rushed in getting there, where it wasn't really set up to a point where, okay, what really made them come to this resolution where Peter felt he needed to go back to Earth after this event. It was hinted on early on in the movie where Mantis is telling about his grandfather. So they planted the seed there where it's like, yeah, this is probably what's going to happen. But what happened over the course of the story that made Peter Quill come to decision? Maybe it's something I'll flow better or I'll pick up more on as I see it on a second viewing. But I just felt it was kind of glossed over to like the decisions everyone came to just felt sort of in that moment, in that scene where it happened, and not necessarily built up to that necessarily in the course of the movie. So I don't know, maybe it's something that, again, I'll maybe pick up more on and pick up some more groundwork being laid for that and for the characters to come to that realization, mainly for Peter and I guess Mantis. Drax, I think Drax, Nebula, Rocket, and Groot, I think how it was set up for them and where things were left, it made sense, or at least you can see that that direction being laid out over the course of the movie. But for some of the others, I just felt it kind of happened a little too quickly, or just kind of in that moment there. But again, it's something that might feel better as I see it multiple times down the road. So, but yeah, so that was kind of like its biggest holdback for me. It just kind of some of the resolutions that the characters came to at the end just felt a little too quick, or just almost out of the blue in certain aspects. But we'll see. It might feel better for me on second viewings. But overall, it was great. Just the character of Rocket, like I said, I was so glad that the movie was going to focus on him, and it did not disappoint, and just deliver an emotional story for his character, and just only enhances the other movies as well, as what he went through now, and just kind of why he is the way he was in those first two movies. So just a lot of great stuff. So top it off with some great Guardians humor, some awesome action. Like I said, that No Sleep Till Brooklyn action sequence was amazing to see unfold. So yeah, I really dug it. So I'm going to give it a solid 4.5 out of 5. Just a great ending to what's become just a really great trilogy. But again, one that feels different. I just love that all these movies have their own unique, distinct feel to them, but yet one does feel like a Guardians movie. This one's more different than the other two, I will say. But like I said, it does still fit in nicely with the other two, especially where how things are left off for the characters. So yeah, I was going to say I couldn't be happier with it, but that's not true, because as I just said, I think some things could have been done a little better with getting to the points that we got to. Even though I liked where the things ended, I thought getting there could have spent a little more time on. So, but still a very satisfying conclusion to what might just be the best trilogy in the MCU. And God, I'm debating that between Captain America because all three of those movies are great as well. So, but we'll worry about ranking and seeing where things fit later on. Right now, I'm just going to enjoy seeing this movie multiple times in the theater because, yeah, this in general, Guardians of the Galaxy as a franchise, it's such a breath of fresh air. Like I said, when it came out in 2014, and just has become just a great franchise on its own, regardless of it's in the MCU. Probably one of the better newer franchises that we've had the past decade. So I'm just very thankful that we got this series of movies. It got a beginning, middle, and an end, all done by the same creative team. James Gunn got to tell the story he wanted to tell from start to finish, which didn't look like was going to happen at some point, where he was fired from directing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And I couldn't imagine the story being told by anyone else, because these characters are an extension of himself. So, and just the fact that he was able to tell his final story with these characters was just great, because it just wouldn't have been the same. So glad that everything worked out in the end, and we got the movie that we did. So yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was great. I was just really happy with it, despite some complaints I had. Just overall, it was just a great experience and just a very satisfying ending to what's been a great almost 10-year journey with these characters. So yeah, really, really, really good.
So what happened to Drax?
He remains on nowhere. Like I said, he's going to be kind of out raising those kids they rescued from the High Evolutionary.
I see. And then Antenna, the Antenna Girl.
Well, I assume you weren't listening to what I was saying, Dan, because I went over all of that in my review.
Well, you know me in the names, Tim. Antenna Girl.
Sure. No, she went off on her own.
Mantis?
Yes.
Mantis?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
She went off on her own to experience life on her own terms.
Yeah, me and the names, Tim. You know how it goes. What about Jeff Goldblum?
Well, thankfully he wasn't.
Oh no, he died, right? He died, right?
No, he survived until Ragnarok.
Oh, he did. Oh.
Are you meaning Benicio del Toro's character?
Yeah, Benicio. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because Jeff Goldblum was in Thor
right?
Ragnarok. Yeah.
And then
it's
if
kind of
I'm
left
not
open-ended,
mistaken,
really.
okay.
I mean, you could assume he's dead because Thanos did attack nowhere originally in Infinity War, so he might not have survived that.
Right, and that was sort of like the trick, right? That Thanos plays on the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, it's
like
not the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Sylvester Stallone.
His character was in the beginning of it, but not in it very much. But Gamora is part of the Ravager group now, so she's part of his crew.
Okay, so he's not he didn't die.
No.
So nobody died then.
No, yeah, none of the main characters died, which again is kind of good, because it's like I think everyone expects that to have a satisfying ending, characters have to die type of thing. It's like, no, that's not always the case. I mean, you can still have like an emotional story and put some characters through the ringer and still have not necessarily have them die to get the point across that you wanted to do, to have an emotionally satisfying conclusion. And I think this movie did that really well by saying, no, it doesn't always have to end in death in order to be a satisfying conclusion for some characters.
Yeah, but if you're hinting at it in the trailer, right? Or no?
I mean, again, it was probably just, I had to be there for misdirect just to get you really, I guess, worried. Like, but at the same time, you're glad it didn't happen, because you don't want Rocket to die.
So was there like flirting with death sort of thing, where it's like, oh no, okay, so it's constantly that then, like, oh no, Rocket's
the threat was always there. Yes.
Yeah.
Like I said, technically he does die for a little bit, because he does flatline.
Yeah. So guess there was kind of a death then.
Just not very long.
Right? I'm glad you enjoyed it, Tim, because I know you were looking forward to that one.
Oh, yes.
So what's the next big Marvel movie coming up? Is it going to be Blade?
No, it's going to be the next Captain Marvel, the Marvels, which is Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and Monica Rambeau.
I can't wait to see how many people hate that movie because of
They're already hating on the trailer. It's like,
Oh, there's a trailer.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't even.
I'll be honest. To me, it's not like
No.
the greatest trailer ever. It's definitely going for a more
Yeah.
humorous route for it. But again, that's the MCU has done that plenty of times before. But I think now, just because it's Captain Marvel, we'll have to give it tons of thumbs down and already start pre-hating it before the movie's even out. So yeah, that's already there, as you would expect.
What's the name of Captain Marvel?
Carol Danvers is there really?
No, the actress.
Oh, the actress, Brie Larson.
Yeah, Brie Larson, right? You don't like her because
I still don't know the reason why. It's like for some reason, it's like one of those internet things. Oh, automatically hate her or don't like her.
I mean, she was great in the movie. I don't see.
It's just a weird thing. That's one thing in that I don't understand. Like, why does this online hatred for her specifically?
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Internet never disappoints.
Nope.
So yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, big thumbs up for me. So hope everyone who does see it enjoyed it as much as I do. Or as much as I did, I should say. But I say as I do because I'm going to see it more times as we speak, or pretty much right after we speak. But so yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was one of the big releases we've had this week. But also the other big one on the video game front was Jedi Survivor. And again, I'm still playing it. Dane has finished it. So
yeah.
I'll let you give your first impression / review of it, Dane, and I'll tell you where I'm at. And you can tell me how close I am.
Okay. What point of the game are you at, story-wise?
So you keep going back and forth to the same planet. So I'm going back to Kobo again to go to. I'm looking for the observatory. So that what was his name? Revis, I think. Like the henchman to the High Republic Jedi. I just finished that boss fight with him, and I guess I'll throw in the spoiler warning for Jedi Survivor here, at least up to the point where I'm playing, where I'm at. So spoiler warning here. I did just defeat him with that lightsaber bout and killed him. So the last point we're leaving the moon station, going back to Kobo, and the next place is to go meet Diggin at the observatory.
Okay. Yeah. So there's still a big chunk. I think this is the beginning of the third act for you.
Okay.
So there's a pretty big chunk that you have to do left. Okay, so my first impressions. I mean, my impressions of the game after beating it. Not gonna lie, I'm a bit mixed on it. Not because of the story plot. I love the plot. I liked how they brought it back to the High Republic, because that's where Star Wars seems to be going at the moment. With the books and now this game, the comic books. So just not only reading about it but seeing it, and seeing the Jedi and seeing all of the technology that they had back in the day was really nice to see. My negatives, and you're probably going to see this one coming, Tim. The performance mode. The game is ugly. It's that was my biggest disappointment. Because I played it on performance mode, and I'm not going to do it on the high resolution mode.
See, that makes me glad I am doing it on the high resolution mode, because I want it to look as great as it can.
Yeah, it's choppy. If nothing is happening on the screen, and you're just going through a cave that nothing is moving in, you're fine. You're 60 frames per second. But if anything is happening, anything at all, it dips below that, and it's a noticeable dip, especially when you're on planets like, I don't know, let's say Kobo, and you're in an open area, and there's things going on. There's troopers walking, or there's beasts doing their thing. there is a significant drop in frames, and
Here,
that was
even on
really
performance
disappointing.
mode, man.
Even on performance
That's
mode.
disappointing.
Um, and on performance mode, the graphics take a huge dip.
Wow.
And I really don't get, like, there's no field of depth, especially when you're in space looking at the stars. Like, let's say you're going from Kobo to wherever, right? You get in the ship goes up, and then you're in space. You know, that whole transition video, or whatever you want to call it. Like it, and you're looking at the stars. There's no field of depth. It just looks like a black white dotted, I don't know, wall.
The wallpaper.
Totally, yeah, it looks like wallpaper, cheap wallpaper. And not only that, not only on the graphics side where you have this massive dip in frames, but also just the graphics themselves, where it's like the when you're in a cutscene, it looks great, but then there's a noticeable drop in quality when you're actually playing the game. And you can see this on the character model himself, Cal. You know, it's like his hair doesn't look great at all, even though you can change it and stuff. None of the hairstyles that I found looked good on him. Maybe it's my eyes, but it just looked like an orange blob on his head.
You should have just went with the bald shaved head.
Yeah, particularly when, you know, you're ziplining or something and his hair is whipping in the wind. That looks awful. A lot of the backgrounds don't look too good. It looks blurry. Yeah, I have nothing positive to say about that. Also, the bugs in the game, I couldn't believe it. You know, with a AAA game like this, you know how, like, in some cutscenes the character isn't there, and then all of a sudden the character moves into frame at a really fast speed.
Wow. See, I haven't experienced many bugs on it, honestly.
Yeah,
I was expecting it too, because I've heard that there was some, but I haven't had too many, to be honest. There's some texture pop-ins that are definitely noticeable, but other than that, I haven't really much issue with any bugs.
that was another thing too, the texture pop-ins.
Yeah, that's the big noticeable thing I have experienced on that.
You know,
when negative.
You know, when there's nothing there, and then all of a sudden you're standing in a forest.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. You know, the you know, when you move the camera towards a wall and then you clip the wall and you can see, like, the backside of the graphics, the unpolished side, just little stuff like that. And you combine all of that, and then you put it into a game where one aspect of the game is fighting, right? And it's you get the clipping, you get the texture pop in. I mean, the pop in, graphic pop ins, and the frame rate drop, and it's like it doesn't help, you know, with the combat. And you add on top of that, you also have to do parkour moves, and you have to zip line, you have to do fancy jumps, and, you know, stuff like that. And it really makes the game that much more, I wouldn't say difficult, I'd say irritating. I don't know how many times I had to redo a section because there was a frame rate drop, or like the character didn't do exactly what I meant him to do when I, you know, long press the X button or whatever, you know. It's the technical side that really sort of brings the score down a lot. And I hate to say it because I really enjoyed the story. You're gonna get to a part, Tim, that is gonna You're almost
Your
there
silence
too.
is
You're
just
almost
making me
there
more
too.
excited for it.
I, I don't think I'm spoiling it if spoiling the story if I have to tell you that you have to fight Dagon, right?
I already fought him twice, so I imagine there's
Yeah.
another one coming.
Yeah, there's another one coming. But it's after that you're yeah, it's gonna raise your eyebrows. Well, at least it did for me because I really didn't see it coming. But anyway, yeah, the story is great. I like the Old Republic. I like getting the band back together. You know, uh, I, I'm just wondering what happened in between games. Was that in the comic books or the books?
I haven't read there was a
Yeah.
tie-in novel that came out a little bit before Survivor, so maybe it did, but I haven't read it. So, but I kind of heard that it's not too consequential to the setup for Survivor, so
Hmm.
I don't know. But I think they kind of left that portion of why everyone separated kind of still up in the air as far as telling that exact story for why that happened. I don't think that was covered in the book.
Okay. Um, but yeah, getting the band back together. Sear and Grease. So yeah, I don't know. I really really love the story. There's a sad moment coming up. There's a surprising moment coming up for you, Tim. And I really really like the ending of the game. So yeah, the technical aspect of it is awful. Like I just really didn't have a good time. Look, I'm thinking about Naughty Dog, right? I mean, I know Naughty Dog is owned by Sony, or PlayStation or whatever, but with the Uncharted games, you're jumping, you're essentially doing the Jedi Survivor, or Jedi Survivor's doing the Uncharted thing, right? It's the
Mm.
same game in the Star Wars universe, which isn't a bad thing, right? It's great. The problem is you got to get the tech right, and it's got to be smooth and flowing. There can't be you know, you hit the button and all of a sudden you're not doing what you intend to do, right? So
Yeah, that'd be ideal for a video game, wouldn't it?
yeah, um, who'd have think who'd have thought it, Tim?
What a concept.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the story. They really nailed the story for me. I really loved it. The Old Republic, Dagon, and the secret planet that you're gonna go to. Um, oh, sorry, I spelled
Well,
that for you too. I don't know if you
I
know,
mean,
but you're gonna go to that planet.
it seems pretty obvious that that's like the end point that you're trying to reach. So, yeah, not a huge spoiler there.
Um, yeah, I really enjoyed it. Just the technical aspect of it really brings it down for me. But it was the same way with Fallen Order, right? That game
Yeah,
was you're playing pictures.
unless you were playing on the latest
Yeah,
Xbox at the
current
time. Yeah,
Xbox or PS4.
Pro. Yeah,
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
screwed.
yeah. Um, so yeah, love the story. The technical aspect was awful. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 3 out of 5. Uh,
Seems fair.
it's just if you're just going on the story, I totally loved it. It's a 5 out of 5 for me. But you got the technical problems with it. Look, one thing I really wish um, would have happened in the game was uh, going back to Coruscant. I wish you could go back to Coruscant, but that's just me.
That would have been nice. Well, there's a
Yeah.
spoiler that for me not to look forward to then.
Oh, sorry, Tim. You don't go back to Coruscant in the game.
Well, that's the point of even finishing the game now.
Yeah. It's just Kobo, the new place, and what
Jedi.
was the name of the Jedi. Yeah, right. What is Jedi from? Am I
Oh, you're just from Rogue One.
right? From Rogue One. Yeah, I couldn't remember that. It's like I've heard that name before. I just can't remember.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love going back to that planet.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a 3 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, for me, I mean, like I said, I haven't really experienced those technical issues that you have been, and I'm playing not on performance mode. I can't remember what the other term is, but the one where the graphics are really good, and the graphics are really good playing on that mode. Like I said, there are the texture pop-ins, what's annoying, but when I play it, everything else looks good, and it runs smoothly enough for me, to be honest. I haven't had really much issues with that, so that sucks that took away from your enjoyment of it. For so far, for me, it hasn't, but I've been loving the heck out of it. Like you said, the story has been great so far, and I've heard from a few other people who finished it that saying like it's a great ending, and hearing you say that only confirms it. So I'm looking forward to experiencing that myself. But I'm loving what I'm getting so far, and it's just kind of interesting that it was, as you said, it is something of the type of story of getting the band back together, where it's like, man, what actually did happen to all these characters? But it is great when you do reunite with them, and you're able to interact with them, but also some of them used for gameplay stuff, like the stuff with Marin on Jeddah. That was such an awesome level. That's so far it's my favorite sequence of the game. That final section where she gives you that charm where you're able to go through those green portals, that just blew my mind. That was
That
one of
was
the most
pretty cool.
one of the most fun sequences I've had in a video game, where it was just so much fun going through that Imperial like drill machine into the temple, and you got TIE fighters flying over you and shooting at you, and you're all making this fast-paced escape. It was an adrenaline rush. That was just so much fun. So that stuff was great. And just the planet environments, I am a little disappointed. I guess you're kind of confirming too that there's not really much planet options other than Kobo and Jeddah, that moon base, and I guess the final planet that you're trying to get to. So I wish there was a little more variety instead of kind of going back and forth to the different planets, but it's not a total deal breaker. It's still, when you get to those planets, it's still fun. But Jeddah looks awesome. The visually, like when you're in the desert storms, trying to make your way through that, where it's like the red sun shining in the sky. Just visually, I think Jeddah looks the best, and it makes for some of the most fun.
Let me say, reassess that after you beat the game.
Okay.
Yeah, it opens up to, and it sort of makes sense why they did that.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. But yeah, gameplay wise too, I'm loving it. It's just that lightsaber combat is so much fun. I love how you have the different stances with the different saber styles that you're able to do. I refuse to use the style that has a blaster. I mean, I'm coming from the Obi-Wan school here, or they're so uncivilized. I will not use it unless it's mandatory. So
I really enjoyed the big Excalibur lightsaber.
that's
Or
my
the
second one.
Kylo Ren.
Yep, the
Yeah.
crossguard. So I use the single blade and the crossguard. Those are the two that I have
Really?
currently equipped right now.
I use
And
the
also the dual blade.
Ahsoka. Yeah, I use the Ahsoka and the Excalibur.
Okay. But I just love that you have those options to choose from. And I really like the bigger customizations that you get to do for Cal now, BD, the lightsabers, some more stuff too. So right now, my Cal, the standard haircut, I gave him a full beard, but I'm using my pre-order bonus where he has the Obi-Wan Jedi outfit and the pack, and I'm using Obi-Wan's lightsaber as well. So Cal is playing homage to the greatest Jedi ever in my version of Jedi Survivor.
Of course you are.
Of course. But just having all those different options is just great too. And I just like just a little bit more of that open world aspect, to where on Kobo you do have that hub area in that town, and you have Greece's Cantina where you get to different people you interact with. You kind of recruit them to rebuild and kind of full the Kobo town area. Just how the Cantina gets bigger and bigger the more people you interact with, and they give you more missions and side quests to do. That's all great. My two new favorite characters are I'm forgetting the name. I think it's Turgs, the kind of the frog creature that you rescue, when you first go into the cantina. He's such a funny character. I love his voice, and just I was always getting himself into trouble, and but wanting to be brave at the same time. It's funny. And then the little fisherman creature, who I think might be the same species as Meeber Gascon from the Clone Wars and the Droid arc, who I love that character. So to see that little creature be like a fisherman and tell all these tall tales of his adventures is just fun. I always enjoy talking to those two. So great cast of new characters being introduced here, which give you some fun side missions. So I am mainly just focusing on the story. Like I said, I gotta try to beat it before Tears of the Kingdom comes out. So I haven't done too many side quests, but sometimes they're hard to avoid because I want to do them because they seem fun. So I have done a couple, but for the most part, I'm going to focus on the story, and I think I'm really going to have to do that these next few days if I want to beat it in time. So, but yeah, I'm having a blast with it. To me, I think it's a big improvement over the first one when it comes to story, gameplay, and just the planet locations too. I think everything about it is just a big step up from the first one, which again I loved as well. But I think they just made everything better in this one. So I'm having a blast with it. I can't wait to experience the full story and see the direction that it goes. So yeah, I'm loving it. I guess I can't give it a final score right now, but if I were to right now, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. It's been just really great so far. And I guess I'm fortunate enough to not have experienced the big technical issues that you had during my playthrough, which I definitely understand would be a hamper in your enjoyment of it. So, which stinks. And I thought they were supposed to have a big update during this week, but I didn't get a notification that one was available when I started it. So I know one came out for the PC, but I thought PS5 and the Xbox Series X was supposed to get one this week too. But maybe I'm mistaken, or I didn't read the dates right. So I don't know, but there should be updates coming for it for the consoles, which hopefully fixes those issues you're having, Dane.
Hopefully. Yeah, but yeah, maybe I'll give it a 3.5 because, like you said, the lightsaber combat was pretty cool. Yeah.
Cool. So my question I have for you, Dane, that I was gonna mention before at the beginning, where you sent me a text asking if you just played the greatest boss battle or one of the best boss battles in a video game, and you asked me, did I make it to a point with the technician? And you said it was around the place of the observatory. But before I got there, I was exploring this kind of Imperial base. And as I'm making my way through there, I saw the boss meter come up, and I saw Rick the technician as just a scout trooper, where I beat him in 2 lightsaber hits. Was that the greatest boss battle you're referring to?
Yes, it was.
Okay. When I played that, I was like, oh, that's it.
It's the greatest boss battle I've ever played. It takes like 1 or 2 hits to take him down. He pumps himself up. Yeah.
I should have known that it would be a typical Dane reference to something that ended up being a joke. It's so weird when they do that. It's like so random too, out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's like, what? Another boss? And then he charges you, and then you just hit him, and he's dead. And it's like, oh, okay. Wow. That was a great boss fight. And I like how
there's no achievement for it, though.
I like how the music stops too. Like you got like that heroic battle music, and then Rick charges at you, and you hit him once, and he's dead, and the music stops. I like that. Yeah.
I like how they give him a name too.
Battle.
Rick the technician.
Rick the door. Yeah, Rick the door technician.
Yeah. I almost feel bad for killing him though.
Yeah. What do you call the Dagon? The final Dagon fight is pretty cool though.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it's always wondering what's this going to be, because first when I played that escape sequence on Jeddah through the green portal, I was like, is this what Dane's talking about? Because this is amazing, but I didn't see any reference to a technician or anything. So I got some other great to look forward to. So it's going to be awesome. Then when that happened, I'm like, oh wait, this has to be it. This is something definitely like Dane would do.
Hey, great boss battle, great mechanics, boss mechanics.
I guess technically that's true.
Yeah. So
But yeah,
yeah,
Jedi
for
Survivor, I
me
don't
it's a
think.
bit of a. Go ahead.
I was gonna say for me, just Jedi. If I could talk, Jedi Survivor has not disappointed. It has lived up to the hype I had going for it. Even if, despite because I haven't experienced those big technical issues you had,
Yeah.
that's what's making me just like thinking it's just really really great all the way around. Besides a few hiccups here and there with the graphics.
Yeah. Not only that, also, I don't know. It's like the first time I've ever had this happen with a game on PS5.
Mm,
But okay, so the game launches right, and on the Thursday, it was like Thursday around 6 or 7 my time.
mm.
Uh, and I'm like, oh, cool, let's get it started, And I click on it, and it said it couldn't validate my license.
Oh wow, great.
Yeah, and so I couldn't play it that night.
Oh man,
So yeah,
the whole
great
night.
stuff. Yeah, the whole night. Like I kept on trying, and it's like, it gets a certain time, and it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna play a video game before I go to sleep. So yeah,
Man, I would have been really disappointed and upset if that happened that Thursday.
yeah, I was upset. And I was like, okay, maybe Friday it'll work. So Friday I got home and it worked, and I beat it in
Yeah, you beat it really
3 days.
quick. Like I couldn't believe like
Yeah,
when you said it, you'd be like, what?
yeah. Well, I beat it on the easy mode,
Hmm.
and I didn't do most of the side quests.
Yeah, so it's like again, where I'm trying not to do as many side quests, but I just can't help myself sometimes. So if you didn't do
Yeah.
any, I could see how you would have beat it that quickly. So
Well, I did a couple because I was just in that general area, like in the
uh
swamp with those two women.
okay, yeah. We have to get the
Yeah,
data
I did
disc.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that one. Just because I was in the area.
Yeah, and it's right there. After you get that new ability to lift up and pull down an object, it's like, how can you
Yeah,
not do it?
yeah. So I did that one. Did a couple others. Just because, like I said, I was in the area. A couple on Jedi. Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm thinking, hope again, I'll probably beat it and go straight to Zelda, but I want to go back and do a lot of the side quest stuff because it does seem like a lot of fun to do, and the game is just fun to play. So I don't want it just to be where I finish the story and I never go back to it again. I do plan to go back to it and finish up those side quest stuff.
yeah. And it's like I said. Wait till after you beat it to form your opinion on the two different planets,
Okay.
or only having two different planets, because
Yeah.
um, you know how they do the thing where it's like you don't have everything at once and you kind of learn it over time,
Hmm.
and it's like going back, it sort of makes sense. So
Okay.
yeah,
Good to know. And just more stuff to look forward to. So yeah. So Jedi Survivor is out now. Next up, Tears of the Kingdom, the big one.
and then the big one, Tim,
Final
Final
Fantasy
Fantasy.
60. Yes. Three
Yeah,
big games all in a row. It's so
did you
good, but yet
pre-order that one
so
yet?
so frustrating.
Did you pre-order that?
No, not yet. Actually, I
Uh,
should pre-order Zelda, but I don't think there's any bonus stuff that you get with pre-ordering Zelda, so I'm no rush to that. Final Fantasy, there might be.
Wow, you didn't pre-order? I pre-ordered Zelda before you did, Tim.
You did, yes, that is accurate.
You fake fan.
uh, Another part of me has been revealed or
Yeah.
or exposed. Yes, I'm a fake Zelda fan. All my defense of Breath of the Wild is all for naught now.
I've been thinking about pre-ordering 16 Final Fantasy 16.
Hmm.
Yeah, but maybe I'll be disappointed with Tears of the Kingdom, and then
Oh,
yeah, I'll be waiting for 16.
well, I hope not. I mean, I hope it's the opposite of your experience with Breath of the Wild. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
I hope they did something with weapon degradation, Tim. Made it less severe.
I heard it is less severe, but again, it's still there, obviously. But I don't think it's
Yeah.
going to be as annoying as it was in the first one.
Yeah.
But you'll be the
So-
judge of
so-
that.
So in Breath of the Wild, let's say you got like this cool flame sword or whatever, right? And it's like a really good flame sword.
Everything's breakable, Dave.
Okay. So once it breaks, you can't do anything to it. You might as well just throw it on the ground.
Oh, we gotta get a new one. You'll find a new one. It's just a matter of time. But yes, it'll be breaking useless.
So you can't repair it.
Nope. Just gotta find a new one.
Ah. Okay. Okay. You know what? I'm not gonna say anything, Tim. I'm not gonna
Good.
say anything because I know that's your favorite video game franchise. So
It is. Tread lightly. Especially when we're nearing release week. I will take no Zelda blasphemy here.
Anyway,
Yes. On that note, yeah, I guess that's going to be it for this episode. It's a great week of big releases with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Jedi Survivor, both of which are great. So if you're going to see the movie, if you're playing the game, hope you enjoyed it as much as we had, or for Guardians, and I have in this case. Which, once it comes on Disney Plus, Dane, I'll be curious to hear what you think of it, because I think you'll like this one.
yeah. I'm curious what you'll think of the ending of Survivor.
I'm sure I'll love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be
Especially,
pretty
like-
drastic for me not to like it.
Because a lot of things happen really, really fast towards the
Okay.
end of the game. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, well, I should be
Anyway.
getting there hopefully in the next few days. Or I got to. I can't say hopefully. I have to.
Next few weeks.
No, don't say no. Next few weeks I'll be in Hyrule. Okay,
You know,
well,
that's what I don't get. Like, you know, I mean, you're pretty much playing in the same place for, I don't know, let's say 15 games, right?
mm,
Like how did is it like just different versions of it?
yeah,
Or-
no, this is over the course of many different eras. So you're playing like hundreds of years, sometimes thousands of years. So it's like it's a wide time gap in the Zelda franchise.
Okay.
And there is the occasional game where you're not in Hyrule, but those are like a handful.
Yeah. And Link keeps on waking up. for
It's
some
always a different Link for the most part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
So
never
it's
the
like
same.
different versions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except unless it's a direct sequel like Tears of the Kingdom is to Breath of the Wild. But
That's why he looks older with longer hair.
older and sometimes younger in other versions. So depends on which route they decide to go with for a particular Zelda game.
Okay.
But that's what makes it so great too. And you never know what to expect and how different it's going to be. But yet it's still Zelda and Link at the end of the day.
I'm just sorry. I'm just watching the Mets game.
Oh, I'm sure I'll be signed to. Yankees have been awful. They're in last place, so I got that going for me.
Yeah, but the AL East is strong this year,
Oh,
right?
yeah, the Rays are just on a historic pace, so that's not helping
Yeah.
either. Okay, yeah, let's not end the episode on a down note with our bad our team are
right.
doing. So I'll go ahead and throw it to you, Dane, for the outro.
All right, go over to Facebook.com. So, dang it.
The Mets mess you up on the outro too.
Go to the BatmanUniverse.net, Facebook.com/Batman Universe, Twitter handles at Batman Universe, show's Twitter handles at Bat-Fans27, Tim's Twitter handles at TimG311. I'll say it this time, yeah.
And actually, Dane, our podcast handle is at Bat-Fans Podcast. It got changed
Oh,
several years ago.
Yeah, sorry. It's only been several years.
Yeah.
So. At Bat-Fans Podcast, my Twitter handle is at Dane Says Banana. Rate, review us on iTunes, and if you want to email the show, you can email the show at batfans without pants gmail.com. So with that, we see at the end of every single episode. Tim.
We love each and every one of you with all of our Rocket Raccoon and Jedi surviving hosts.
I like that.
We're keeping
See
it
you
simple
guys
this time.
See you guys next time.
See you next time, everyone.